Welcome to this episode of Podcast of the Realms, where today we're going to cover entries 17 through 20. Joining me, as always, is Carmen. How you doing, Carmen?
Hello. I'm doing good, and I'm really excited to talk about today's topics. I'm just really interested about the history and kind of like the DM thoughts about this.
Excellent. So, let's just dive right in. Episode 17 goes to a little bitty village out on the western coast of Batonia, simply known as Wywood. What did you think? What are your questions?
My first question. The episode begins with a character. I don't think we've been introduced to this character's story yet, have we? Because he's an Analar, and I can't remember if we've been introduced to any more Analars. So, who is
Tag? He? Tag of House Alon. He tags along.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Really?
Well, the head of his house, for all of you nerds of a particular flavor, is named Alon.
Okay. Oh my gosh. What? This was a character created by one of your players,
Tag
correct?
is an NPC I created.
Oh.
Usually the worst puns are mine.
Oh my.
But this was the result of a contest of another player making other pun-related names.
Oh my god, I love it.
But this is Tag. He is a very ancient Analar. He is among what are called the Firstborns, which are those Analar that were born between the first 36 and the beginning of time becoming a real concept. Because all the Analar that existed before then had theoretically infinite time to become whatever the hell they wanted. So they are ridiculously more of whatever they wanted to be than anything else can be. So he's an ancient.
I kind of love that idea. It's so much more in anything that you wanted to be. That is a very attractive idea. But in his story, they kind of we are introduced to an elf, and then as I was listening to the story, I think the way that you kind of just opened this up and opened up introducing to him is like super mystical. Elf child is what you said in the recording.
Child.
Elven-looking child. Well, if it's elven-looking, then it's either a half-elf or an elf.
Or someone who runs around with that as a face. Don't worry, you'll see him hearing about the place.
Oh my god. Don't bring shapeshifters in on us, I can only handle so much. Either way, it's really interesting how when I was listening to the story, just how, and I might not have understood too much of what was happening. The elven-like child said that at the end of their encounter was like, it must have been very important, the conversation that you had, if they brought you back to the same time place. Now, I am super interested, like, hearing that as just an avid reader, that the amount of foreshadowing that's just chunked into this small bit of story has me wanting more. So I am super excited to see where the story goes.
This particular storyline group that this one starts is exclusively for the high level behind the scenes. These are the power players, like Tag by himself is a divine level threat at a minimum. He's basically impossible to kill. You know how in other series you've got creatures that regenerate ridiculously? Yeah, that's him. This is him in this setting. Tag is the guy who regenerates from anything.
Yeah, the Deadpool.
Yes. Quite simply.
Oh, I
and
love that.
We learn more about his history in a future episode, so I don't want to spoil too much.
Yes. I'm super excited to finally when we're able to discuss about that. I just thought it was super interesting because, he wasn't a character that we had been introduced about yet. But kind of going into Wywood.
Mm-hmm.
It's Wywood, right? Okay. Kind of going more into Wywood. The episode talks about how it's this tiny little place, seemingly untouched by all of the darkness that's going around, and these monuments that are ancient yet normal, but not even Tag, our character, really understands or knows kind of their background. My question is, because I don't want to give away too much of what may be potential storyline, is will we ever figure out what those monuments are?
In a future episode, I may decide to go into the secret of Wywood. But, in brief, they're a remnant of an oath to keep that place safe. And I'll leave it at that. But, yes, there is a reason why that is probably the safest place in all the realm. It's amazing what several thousand Danalar can do when they all decide to do it at once.
That has me so interested, and that would definitely be a topic of discussion for a future episode. Because I feel like that is a boyfriend's promise to a girlfriend that I will keep your hometown safe forever kind of thing. That's just my
You're not far
fan
off the
fiction
mark.
bias.
It is. We said we'd protect your village. We will.
Oh, the history behind that's gotta be so cool. But we're gonna go on before we reveal much more of that story. But another thing that I was really interested about Wywood is it's very particular about how you're starting the Analar story in this place. I wanted to know what is the importance of Wywood in, I guess, the world around it. Do we encounter it more often? Is it a place kind of like, this is our local tavern for our characters? Or is it just a place of a single quest? Like, what is the importance of Wywood in Jam'mMar?
Wywood in Jam'mMar is quite as presented, a very sleepy, very untouched, but the few times that it's come up have been important enough that the ageless, the immortals, the great heroes, they all know about Wywood. They all know it exists. Very few of them had any reason to go there, but they all know it's there. They all know it exists, and they all know that maybe one day they'll end up going there. They know that nearby is where Lefty, the trainer of heroes and gods, has his secret abode. And speaking of whom, we
tell us more about. Well,
we meet Lefty here in this entry because he lives in the area.
Yes. He is here.
He is a Dragois, currently in the Supremacist phenotype, sorry. I say currently because he is also one of the celestially touched. He is touched by the element Temporsis. He's half time, baby.
Bro.
What this means is the celestially touched are, due to their connection, they're very, very rare. And if you have them tell it, the universe really doesn't want to make new ones, so it keeps those around. So when they die, their bodies will reform. As the universe basically goes, no, you live. But they come back Well, depending on how experienced they are, they can actually control exactly how they come back. But it's
Wow.
usually within the same species or group of species.
Mhm.
Fairly random. Lefty's old. No one knows how old. No one. Everyone suspects he's always been a Dragois. Because that's how everyone's ever seen him. But he's been seen as all
Yeah.
three phenotypes. But everyone knows it's him because he doesn't have a left arm. He has he has a replacement of one sort or another. No matter what form he has, apparently, and he's never told anyone the details before either in the event that made him celestially touched or before he had lost the arm to some catastrophic wound. So when he was kissed by celestial power, it was as he was.
And not any additional new.
So he's always had an artificial arm, which has always been a fucking weapon. Like, he has pulled out his arm cannon perhaps 2 or 3 times that has been seen in history, and he has yet to ever fire it. Because no one wants to know what's in it, because each time he pulls it out, it keeps getting bigger.
That's what she said.
Yeah. No. Because he had lived a very simple life. If you look through history, you can find that he fucked around a lot in the old days and would just show up to a village and pick a few kids that were talented, train them up, send them off to be heroes, and then just disappear. Like, and a lot of people of talent and power did this back then. There was a lot of help that was needed, and raising others up was always seen as a noble thing in almost every religion in the realm. So, he had been doing that for millennia. And he came across a group of 4 celestially touched individuals, one of each element, that needed to be trained.
Like him.
Yeah, well, the thing is the Karians, the celestially touched of Temporses, have a city of their own on the edge of time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of questions around that they don't really answer, but it's suspected that Lefty has been always looking around for more celestially touched because they kind of underwent a minor genocide at one point, but that's a whole different conversation. But he runs into these 4, starts training them up and stuff, and from that point forward, he got on the radar of some very powerful people. Because those 4...
Good powerful or bad powerful?
Powerful.
Ooh.
The Nine Wings herself has selected him her agent of destiny. When she moves the pawns onto the board, it's Lefty who's doing the moving.
Oh
he begrudgingly accepts this because you do not say no to the voice of the Nine Wings.
Yeah.
Her husband's a dick and cannot be trusted. However, moving on, Lefty has continually just been there amongst just the mortals, but the gods will often look for his counsel because he's seen a lot. And he always seems to know a story or a guy.
Well, he's the mechanic that you can trust. He always knows somebody.
And that
and we love to keep those kind of people around.
And that is Lefty. So seeing Tag pull him in is not even a question. It's like, okay, that makes sense.
Yep. Are there any other? So we know Lefty. It kind of sounds like Wywood is low key could be the retirement home of all the heroes, but that's just like me. That'd be really funny. Even if it's not, that's just like hero retirement home. Wywood over here is just like everyone's fucking around having a good time. But are there any other important characters that we might see in our other stories that come from Wywood?
Other than the celestially touched god, not especially. Everyone else that has a story that intersects with Wywood, it's just passing through. Wywood is quite literally the super quiet,
small sleepy
fishing village where nothing bad happens. It's idyllic. Well, there's a little bit extra rain today, but it's still idyllic. Like, it's simple living at its finest.
I love that. That is really kind of is important to remember that amongst all of our heroes and our adventures and all of the chaos that's going on in the world, there do exist some places that it could kind of say a little bit about our own world right now, is that even among all the chaos, there are still some places that have that home-timey feel where nothing changes. Everyone's just a neighbor to someone, and there's that weird old guy on the corner of the street that you know.
Pretty much, but I don't like being called out like that, so let's swiftly move on to episode 18.